those are necessary stages that, painful but necessary, that we're going to have to go through all of them and transcend them and look at the futility of this. As much as they are coming up, all these pastors, others are pretending to rise up the dead, others are giving people grass and frogs to eat and all of that. So there will be a great awakening, because Africa will not equivocate, Africa will not surrender. The great spirit of Africa will not be completely oppressed and suppressed under all of these foreign things that are currently dominating the spirit. And that great spirit is a great spirit of enlightenment that our ancestors have always talked about, the great spirit of great light in the city. Now that period when it comes, we will transcend all of these things. As we're living the age of information and knowledge, through social media and so forth, there's a lot of decolonization is taking place. But there would be a total decolonization of a race, because it is necessary for us to go forward as Africans. And as Africans, we can't continue being slave and subservient of others. Ultimately, we need to be in our best self in order to be the best representative and the best, to offer the best service to humanity. So we are still going through our own Armageddons, we are still going through our own calamities, we're going through great confusion, even in terms of spirituality, even in terms of religion. And that will pass at a great cost. You know, everything for us, it comes at a great cost. Yeah, when you talk about slavery, you have to lose millions of Africans to the transatlantic slave trade. Whether you're talking in terms of colonialism, we had to lose a lot of Africans in order to have the Africa that we have today. Have to converse in a foreign language. You know, they are still attempting with Swahili, but Swahili is not enough, because, you know, it's 50% Bantu, 50% Arabic. So we will reach that full potential with the evolution of ourselves, because neo-colonialism brought about neo-African culture. And so this new African culture, where we Africans articulate our Africanness in foreign dialect, in foreign language, in foreign mediums, in foreign expression, will also pass. And when it does pass, we will get into our own golden age. Every race have its own golden age, where they started to have their oneness and everything. So the Chinese, the Asians are going through theirs, they've gone through theirs, the Europeans, they seem to be on top of everything. It seems like we are hopeless. It seems like they've counteracted every move, but nobody has a monopoly over wisdom. And no race has a monopoly. Yeah, so eventually we will come into our own senses that made us build pyramids and constitute the Bantu as one people and Ubuntu as one philosophy.
One common philosophy across all of Africa. Yes. No, that is so insightful. I love the fact that you articulate these things properly. Even some, I believe most of our listeners are hearing new knowledge that we haven't had the opportunity to hear from, a lot of people. But now, the other question that I would raise with what we have spoken about, what is the role of our political leaders in all of this?
Well, we in Africa, we have dealership, not leadership. Now we have to differentiate that. So our political leaders are dealership. Leadership will come out of revolutionary leaders when we deal with revolution. Now revolution, we talk about cultural revolution. The tools of our liberation should come from our own culture, should come from our own thought pattern. As long as we're still talking about Marxism and Leninism, capitalism, socialism, we're behaving like we're mentally retarded. We outsource thinking. We're taking other people's ideas that are not completely compatible with our reality. Therefore, we will always have the rich claiming to represent the poor in terms of our political elite. You'll always have the West tyrants and dictators sponsored by the West, as long as they serve the economic interest of the West. You will always have your Mobutu Sese Sekos, you will have all of these individuals that misrule us, misrepresent us. South Africa, like most African countries, these are corporations, are not countries. So when you talk of the President of South Africa, you talk about a joint CEO. He's a joint CEO of South Africa Incorporated, SA Inc., and ANC Limited. So he's in management of the resources. Remember, when we negotiated the 1994 transition, two things that are fundamental to apartheid remained: the land and property rights. So the Europeans in this country still have the property rights and they still have the land. So what happened then, we elected political leadership, which is basically a management of a country. So this management is always interested and regulated by capital, by market, by investors. They're worried about investors. They told us the past 2 days, even yesterday I was listening to the news, that the business community said now there is an investor confidence ever since the arrest of Jacob Zuma. So you have a leadership that is tied up to the rent. You know, when this one did that, the rent. So these are dealership. These are people who are selling resources of the land, selling. We know that the advent of the current president, the new dawn, is more about selling state-owned enterprises.
Yes.
So these are dealership again. So this is South Africa. We're using South Africa as an example, but this is the problem of Africa. You have more than 20 francophone countries that are milked by France. These French-speaking countries in Africa. You have Lusophone countries that are speaking Portuguese, that are milked by their former colonizers. And of course, you have the Commonwealth, we who were colonized by the British, who speak English all over this, who are milked by Britain, who are major resources are controlled from Britain. Any one of the people who will be a president in this country must go and meet with the Queen and be approved of the Queen, and be even given a title and be called Sir this and that, and even initiated into their Freemasonic system like the Knights of Qatar.
Yes.
So we're having a dealership. So our political leadership is dealership. They are selling resources, they are selling all type of resources, human resources, mineral resources, and you know, today it is illegal to breathe fresh air in South Africa in the name of the pandemic. Fresh air is expensive, understand? And it has been sold, 500 billion from the IMF and the World Bank, and where is that money? It is lost in the form of PPEs and it disappeared. Again, dealership. What is the main fight within the ANC? It's money. It's stomach politics. It's dealership, stomach politics. What is the whole fracas? Why do you send a 79-year-old man to prison? Because him and his Indian friends, they got into an area that is traditionally from 1652 being reserved to 9 families, the Oppenheimers, the Ruperts. Now these black men and his Indian friends, they got in there and started to take some of that, which is sacrosanct. Now he's getting punished for that. It is necessary for the European, they believe in punishment, corporal punishment. Otherwise it defies logic. He's the first president of democratic South Africa, first former president to be sent to prison. We still have one of the apartheid president declared is around. He's not being sent to prison for the crimes of apartheid. So it's a new dawn, it's a new chapter. But the new dawn is the different phases of dealership, which you call leadership. So it is our problem in Africa, and it is going on throughout. South Africa, we're in South Africa, it's just a case study. Listen, if you go to Namibia, you will uncover the same thing. You're going to find certain European families that are control resources. And you're going to find that the 51% of their stock exchange is owned somewhere in Germany. Me and you can sit on the rooftop there and invent an aeroplane, but me and you are going to require aviation license to fly that aeroplane from London or from Europe. It doesn't come from anywhere around here. Any one of us can be all inventful and create something, an aeroplane, your license is going to come from there. 51% of our reserve bank of our stock exchange is owned from Germany. Dealership. So we are government livestock as long as we have politicians as our leaders. So we need to develop an African-centered leadership. Now, African-centered leadership is different from politicians, and it's different from political leadership. Because here we're talking about an indigenous leadership. Politics are not indigenous to us. Politics is a response to apartheid, to colonialism, and to neo-colonialism that we find ourselves in.
True. So, what role also do the politics of Africa have in the spirituality or religion of Africans as a whole?
They have a great role, because show me one African country where the president professes an indigenous religion of that country. Like you get a Zimbabwe president who say, I'm a worshipper of Muari. Chamiluka is my prophet. You understand? You don't get that. You know, it's either going to be a staunch Catholic or a staunch Muslim. That's the problem of Nigeria. That's what created Boko Haram and all of that. You know,
division.
So our political leadership, its religious affiliation and religious loyalty is also foreign, like the political dogmas and doctrine they hold on to. So that is why you do not have any particular state in Africa that claims African religion as a state religion, and they tell you that the religion here it's African. You know, you had almost close to that during Mobutu Sese Seko. He was pushing a lot of Ubuntu and Bantu-ness in Zaire. You know, but at the same time, again, you know, he was this leader who was richer than the state. You know, and then you take all the money and the resources and put them in the IMF and the Swiss bank, and then after you die, they don't return it back to your country, they take it. So we don't have that. So again, as long as our political system is coming from the West, our religious system will equally be the same.
So what would be the way to perhaps address these kind of situations? Because obviously now, for us to be able to attain liberty at any form, whether it's political or spiritual, something has to happen. What is that? What is that next step that we have to go through?
Well, Africa has been more and more radicalized, which is important. Africa has been made aware of the conditions that we are going through. Much as you will have people like Julius Malema who are talking right and walking left, it's necessary to have such type of rhetoric, people who are reminding us that the land, our culture, this is not the African way of things. So, but the ultimate solution for us is cultural revolution. We need to get into our culture. Our culture informs our consumption, our worldview. We will stop from, you won't be having this situation where a man is thinking that wearing a 300,000 watch is a greatest achievement. Your consumption will be informed by your culture. Now, if Ubuntu come into the center part, it therefore informs a whole lot of your outlook, your personal and interpersonal relation with the next African person you come across. But also, ultimately, we need a mass insurrection. Now, the problem is we talk about African liberation without the cost of it, that how much it is going to cost us.
Yes.
And does it mean we have to kill all the sellouts?
Yes.
We have to, you know, Nat Turner, when he was to lead the slave rebellion, he brought about 1,000 people, and he said, and then how many of you are afraid? You know? And then about 900 were afraid. He said, okay, 100, let us first kill the 900 and then we go. You see, let's kill Now we don't talk about how do we deal with the betrayers of our revolution.
Yes.
How do we deal with the sellouts of our revolution? What are the costs of it? For China to be China today, China had to lose 60 million of its people during the Long March, the Mao Zedong
yes.
They have to, their cultural revolution, they have to be some serious page. So we don't talk about, we don't address the cost of our liberation. What we